Hey everybody, this is a video accompanying my Piecewise functions video that aims to teach you how to use the free online graphing software at desmos.com to graph piecewise functions. So here I have three piecewise functions taken from my video on the topic, one of which models the price of Amazon items after calculating shipping cost and sales tax, one of which is the absolute value of x, the absolute value function, written in piecewise form, and one of which models the price of a meal after accounting for tipping cost. Now, there's a couple of differences between the way you type these things into Desmos and the way you write them down on the paper. First being that the only variable that Desmos accepts is x. So despite the fact that I've used b here to represent the base cost, I'm going to use the variable x instead of b, because that's what Desmos allows. But in any case, we'll use x to type in our equation. And then right after that, we will use brackets to write the restrictions on x that must be satisfied for us to follow this equation. So notice that instead of having a bracket before all the rules and the restriction, I have just the restriction in the brackets after that equation. So if you go ahead and look in this piecewise function here, we have this segment of a line that corresponds to the x values below 25. Notice too that we have to use separate lines for these two rules because Desmos only allows one equation per line. So in the second line, we're going to put the second equation, which in terms of using x instead of b, will be x plus x times 0.05 under the restriction, which we indicate in Desmos using brackets, that x is at least 25. And that right there gives us the other segment of our piecewise function that goes from x equals 25 and onward to the right. Alright, moving on to our next piecewise function, the absolute value of x. We can put in this piecewise function in a similar fashion. So we'll first hide those two, and then type in the equation for the first part, together with its restriction, x is greater than 0. As you can see, that gives us 1/2 of that piecewise function, the positive part. Then we'll type in the next half, minus x, under the restriction that x is less than or equal to 0. And that there gives us our other half. Now notice that there is an absolute value button in Desmos, just because this piecewise function is common enough that there's kind of a pre-built thing that does it for you. But we've done it this way just to showcase the fact that the absolute value of x is in fact a piecewise function. Anyway, moving on to our third piecewise function, the one for tipping. As you might guess, we do this in a similar fashion as the previous two. So I invite you to go on Desmos yourself and try and graph this piecewise function on your own before waiting a little bit to see how I've done it. Alright, if you are back, this is how you would graph this third piecewise function in a similar manner to the previous two. You would type in the equation, swapping out p for x, because that's what Desmos accepts. 10 times x times 0.15. Type in the restriction in brackets. So bracket x is less than 8. And then type in the second rule, using x instead of p, as usual. Add on 10 times x times 0.18. Add in the restriction. X being at least 8. And that gives you a lovely piecewise function right here, as you can see. Anyway, I hope this video was informative and showed you how useful a tool Desmos can be. Until next time, see you guys.